2, 3. Thank you guys so much for joining our Hardened Hearts workshop recap. I'm so excited about tonight because wow. I know you guys probably feel like I say that all the time, but this workshop has definitely been very convicting, and I do believe it will help to set a lot of people free. They may have experienced a hardened heart, don't even know if people's heart are hardened, trying to figure out why people are how they are, why they're showing up how they are, and then underline there was a hardened heart. There was something that triggered, there was something that happened that caused for them to start to harden their hearts against people, whatever thoughts they started to ponder on negatively, and they allowed their feelings and their negative thoughts to create a hardened heart to people, So I do want to kind of go over our day 1 and day 2. So I will go over day 1 for anyone that's listening and you are very interested in listening to our Hardened Heart workshop. It is available on our website at www.rfaithheals.com. Go ahead and click the link, become a member subscriber. We do have currently a 7-day free trial. So, hey, go ahead and register, sign up to that. We'll give you access to all of our workshops so you can listen to all of them. We're always looking to grow, to expand, to just connect and to encourage one another. So day 1, it was a powerful day 1. We talked about hardened hearts. We talked about pride. We also talked about a broken heart and stubbornness. I can't wait to talk about stubbornness because I just feel like stubbornness is one of those real you want to say stubborn, but real resisting spirits where you just want to refuse everything. You don't want to accept truth. You don't want to accept your wrongdoings. You don't want to accept. You just refuse. Even
You
if
want to do it in your own time.
everything. Yeah. And
Mhm.
when people call you out, when people are being honest with you, when people are like trying to keep it real with you, you don't want to receive it just because they called you out. Not because it wasn't true, but because they didn't call you
Mhm.
out. And that's a hardened heart.
Yeah.
So let's get into it. So the workshop that we just had, we discussed hardened hearts and their disadvantages as well. Day 2, we talked about the heart posture and how God can correct through conviction. If anyone who is interested in listening to our Heart and Hearts workshop, I do highly recommend listening to the Levels to Rage workshop first because we did go in detail about emotions, core emotions. We went over the list of emotions. We also talked about the different types of traumas. So you can see, okay, where did this hardened heart come from? They didn't just wake up and become hardened. Something actually happened that caused for them to be the way that they are. We also talked about how God can harden the heart because he wants to show you who's God, especially someone who is rebellious or just very disobedient. God will harden your heart so that when he comes in and destroys that in which you thought you were doing, it's you know that he was God and it was God by himself. And we talked about Pharaoh and the eighth plague, which was the locust, and how God hardened the heart so that the people knew who was God. We also talked about like the disadvantages of a heart to heart. To know sometimes you gotta have it in a list. Don't you do you feel like sometimes we need to have it in a list so you really just know like all avenues and areas that a heart and heart can be creep
Yeah.
into?
So you can be mindful for sure. Because some people just operate this way naturally, you don't even know what to categorize it as.
Yeah, they don't even know. So we actually talked about it. We talked about the disadvantages of a hardened heart. And one of the disadvantages is it's recklessness. When people are reckless, they just tend to do anything. We gave an example of someone acting out of character and you're looking at them and you're just trying to figure out like, why are you acting like this? Like, what's wrong? What happened? Like, it
Mhm.
wasn't necessary. You're just overdoing it. It's overkill. Like, relax, calm down. And so when someone's hardened, they don't even really see the measures of what they're doing. They don't even know how far they're going at sometimes. And it's destructive. So
Yeah.
recklessness, impulsiveness, they do things without thinking. They have a loss of insight because they're so one-sided and they see things one way. They don't even have true insight of what's happening. They have loss of opportunities. They lack the fruit of the spirit. They form bitterness. When people have hardened hearts, they start to form bitterness because they refuse to feel. They refuse to have compassion for other people or be empathetic or sympathetic to others.
Mhm.
They are inconsiderate. Hardened hearts, they tend to rebel despite everything that you tried to tell them, despite all of the warnings that you gave them. They refuse to hear it. They don't want to hear it. They are want to do what they want to do. They are rebellious. Stubbornness, anger, they operate in error, they're wrong, delay, and they become unpleasant. When people have hardened hearts, they don't even realize how unpleasant people feel around them where they don't even want to have a conversation with them. Like you're just so mean. Like you're so irritable. Every
Mhm.
time I try to talk to you, you're just always angry all the time. Like you are not receptive. You're not listening. It's just all these different components where people's like, I don't even want to talk. They give me a headache. They're argumentative. They operate in offense all the time. They're always offended when I try to say something. It's hard to get through to them. You become unpleasant.
Mhm. There is a term I think of when you say that. Oh no, I don't think it's relevant, but a demagogue. I thought it meant like someone that comes in and just causes confusion and disarray. But this is more of a political leader who seeks support by appealing to the desires of ordinary people rather than using rational argument.
Okay.
But maybe it could still work.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And so, I mean, that's the reality, that's the disadvantage of it. And the problem is that people who do have a hardened heart, they don't really see how hardened their heart is. And the longer it stays, the worse it gets. And that is really saddening.
Yeah,
So,
because the older you get, you're stuck in your ways already,
mhm,
and it only gets worse
yeah,
if you don't acknowledge it and don't become intentional and trying to do better. So
that is so
that's
true.
the problem.
And it starts to eat you up inside internally.
Mhm.
That's the thing. Like you may not see it on the
Mhm.
outside, but internally, like day by day, you are being damaged. Okay. Then we just talked about 4 ways to know when someone's heart is hardened. I feel that to be important so you are aware of when people's hearts are hardened, so you can be mindful of engagements, of participations, or how close you become to them and how much access you give. So one way they look to cause injustice or they're okay with it. They see people being mistreated or mistreating other people that did nothing to them. They're looking for problems. They have a hardened heart. We got to be mindful of those who are okay with injustice. Number two, insensitivity to emotions of loved ones whom you may have hurt or done wrong by, or when someone is expressing sad news. So you just have no compassion, you have an insensitivity. Sometimes life will harden you because you've seen so much. So now that people are expressing something. You're like, I've already heard this before. I already
Mhm.
dealt with someone who went through this before. So you're just real numb to the emotions of other people. So there's an insensitivity. You know that there is a hardened heart there. Number three, looking to control narratives or outcomes despite who was affected by your decisions and inaccuracies. So people who just want to control, we talk about pride despite if they're wrong, they just want to be the decision maker, even if they're wrong, right?
Right, loud and wrong.
How you want to be the decision maker and you're wrong,
Hmm.
leading people to a ditch. Number four, carelessness, just crash out behavior, willing to
Hmm.
risk everything for a momentary gain or sensation. So if anyone you know operate in this at all, these four types of ways, we do just highly recommend just be mindful, be vigilant. Like if they have a hardened heart, we don't really know how hard their heart is. So you be caught by surprise that they now mistreat you. But if they were willing to mistreat other people, you got to know that they will be willing to mistreat you in another season, especially if they don't really
Mm-hmm.
rock with you like that anymore, especially when they don't even like you anymore. They will go ahead and
Mm-hmm.
mistreat you as well. We also just briefly talked about pride and how pride comes to steal. Pride comes to steal your joy and it comes to steal attention, especially with people who are very boastful. People always want to gear conversations back to them. People who don't want to give thanks to other people who helped pave the way for them or just looked out for them or was a resource to them. They forget where they came from. They bite the hand that feeds them. They act like they never needed it, but
Mm-hmm.
the whole time, had that person not looked out for you, it would have never gotten done. So we talk about pride being uh, led. So a hardened heart is led by pride, it's led by a broken heart, it's led by stubbornness, right? It's led by arrogance. So we also we had a scripture here that we referenced, Proverbs 16:18. Pride goes before destruction and a haughty spirit before a fall. So the thing about it is, when it comes to pride, the greater the pride, the greater the fall.
Simple.
Yeah, the greater the pride, the greater the fall. We really remember that. And then also we just talked about wrongdoings, pride when it comes to not being able to admit when you've hurt someone, admit when you offended someone, admit when you were just wrong. And the reality of
Mm-hmm.
it is that when people are prideful, when they don't want to admit their wrongdoings, it's because they don't want their ego damaged and they don't want someone else to call it out. So you the one who tell them the truth. You're the one to say, hey, this is not right. You need to fix this. This is wrong. Make things right. They will refuse it. They won't accept it. They don't want to change because it's someone else that calls it out.
Yep.
And that's really the unfortunate part is because they can really know, like, hey, I do need to change this, but because it was you who told me I'm not going to do it. It's pride.
Yeah.
It's pride.
Um, Something that stuck out to me when you said that is also, when you said they want to lead, but they're wrong and they're confident and they're wrong. I
Mhm.
think it's a sense of control because they fear change
Yeah.
or they fear um, themselves being exposed because it's very vulnerable
Mhm.
to be told you're wrong or whatever the case is. So they try to control the narrative
Mhm.
as if they can, maneuver how this plays out. So I think that's the pride. It goes right back to the pride, of course, but it's a way to control the narrative because they're in fear of accountability, change, all these other pieces.
It feels as if that's far from the truth. It's a they feel there is some control being taken away, which that is far from the truth as well. So that
Yep.
is very, very true. We talked about how people's heart can be hardened by a broken heart, disappointment after disappointment, always putting your heart on your sleeve, constantly being damaged by others, and then it tries to heal, but it heals with cement, which is now being hardened, opposed to being healed the proper way, so that you know you don't affect other people, or you don't bleed on other people that didn't hurt you, or you're able to love again, you're able to be gentle again, you're able to be open with people again because you guarded your heart and you let it down to those who you know that you can trust. We also just gave two examples regarding healing and how it would look for two people. For one person who may ponder on negative thoughts, and then for one person that may ponder on positive thoughts, it would definitely differ on the outcome and the different results that people receive. If you're pondering on good thoughts, like, okay, there's something I need to learn, it was purpose behind it, it wasn't by mistake. God wanted to reveal something to me. All things work for me because I love the Lord and I'm called according to his purpose. There's something that is shifting for me. It wasn't meant to break me. It was meant to strengthen me. This relationship had to go. I had to grow from it. I had to mature from it. If you're pondering on these thoughts, then you're going to have a better outcome and you have more spaces where you can heal, opposed to like, oh, I will never trust anyone again. I will never open myself up to anyone again. I will never like I'll never speak to anyone again. I'll never get close to anyone again, So a lot of different thoughts that people will have. I mean, the Bible does say not to trust anyone, but to have negative thoughts like, oh, I'll never get close to
Mhm.
anybody again. I don't like anyone who's too friendly. Like all those thoughts can cause for you to block your blessing because then God will send the destiny helpers. God will send the people that are meant, assigned, in line to build with you.
Yep.
However, you don't accept them, you don't allow them in because you're still hardened by the treatment of somebody else. So here it is now you are blocking your blessing.
Yep.
God provided, God gave provision, you prayed, He answered, but because
Mhm.
you're still hardened, you didn't accept the help that God sent you. And why
And
is
now you're
that?
complaining and saying, "Oh, God doesn't love me," or this or this and that. But He gave you all the ingredients. You just didn't want to bake the cake.
Yeah, and you know what? Why is that? Is because you pondered on all the negative thoughts. You didn't bring it into captivity. We are supposed to literally ponder on thoughts that bring encouragement, that bring awareness, that bring forth the will of
Mhm.
God for ourselves, that bring forth wisdom, that bring forth direction, that brings forth understanding. So all other thoughts outside of the will of God that do no justice to your future and that are lies, you cast it down. There are
Yep.
times where we have thoughts of like, it's a lie. You get fearful. Oh my gosh, this is gonna happen. What if it, you get anxious. It's a lie.
Mhm.
Cast it down. You ponder
Mhm.
on those thoughts, it's going to affect how you feel. It's going to dictate how you move, right?
Yep.
Got to be mindful of what we're pondering on. We got to be mindful of the things that we're allowing ourselves to accept. And we got to bring into captivity all other thoughts that are outside of God's will. Bring it into captivity. Nope, delete, remove, not pondering on it. I don't care, not thinking
Yep.
about it. It's
Immediately.
yeah, it's in the back of my mind.
Mhm.
It'll stay right there. God, what is your will? What is your way? Whatever you want to do through me, allow it to be done. And I'm breaking and I am not accepting it. I'm casting it down. I don't receive.
Simple.
Stubbornness, we talked about it lightly in the beginning of this. When it comes to stubbornness, it's just a no refusal. I refuse to feel, I refuse to accept wrongdoings. I refuse to accept that I hurt someone. I'm refusing to accept having to look inwardly. I'm refusing to accept or address the core problems. I'm refusing to understand other perceptions. I'm refusing to hear other sides. I'm refusing to be honest with myself. I'm refusing because I don't want anyone else to be right. And that's the big one when people are stubborn like that, where they don't want anyone else to be right. So they decide to refuse. Nope, nope, nope. I don't want to hear it, right? Because you are
Mhm.
so filled with your own self that you don't want to acknowledge someone else right. And then
Yep.
this is one of those I refuse just because you just want to refuse. You just
Mhm.
want to be offended. And that's what happens when people are hardened hearted. They operate in offense a lot of the time. So they are always offended. They
Right.
want to cause a lot of confrontation. They just want to be argumentative. They're offended. So when people are like that, it's hard to really speak to them. You're gonna have to like really wait till they grow up to have conversations with them.
And grow up
Despite Mhm.
takes how long?
Right.
It's even in all these years.
Right. And then despite all of the facts, despite all the evidence that can steer them away from their own perspective, because they are so stubborn, they will still say otherwise or they'll still speak otherwise. When people are stubborn, they are spiritually blind. That's just how I see it. I envision someone that's just spiritually blind because you're refusing it. You don't want to see. You have the tools, you have the evidence, you have the facts, you have what you need. There's people that's trying to pour into you and you're refusing it. A lot of times when people are like that, they tend to suffer longer because a lot of things in which they do could have been prevented. When someone warned you, when someone told you, you didn't listen, you didn't act on it, you didn't say anything, you just refused. And so now
Mhm.
warning comes before destruction. Here now destruction's here, but your stubbornness did not accept the warning. When the warning was presented, you ignored it, and now here's destruction, and now you're pleading for help. And that's what happens a lot of times when people are stubborn, is that when people are right and when people did try to look out for them and they didn't accept it, when that destruction comes, you'll see them begging for help.
Yep. When it could have all been avoided.
It could all have been avoided, right? And all of that stems, it's all like a hardened heart. Someone who is stubborn like that, there is a hardened heart somewhere where they refusal despite everything. And I highly recommend listening to the workshop where we talked about like the different emotions, the levels to rage, so you can get more of like core reasons why someone